Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello and welcome to All for United. We are doing a new show. It's not new by definition. The preview show has been done before, but it's a new fan preview to go alongside the tactical preview that regularly happens every week on All for United. I'm your host, Simon. I'm here with a lovely panel of guests today. I've got Bainsy, got Gavin, and I've got Reese. We're expecting Vicky, but she's not quite here yet, so I don't know where she is. But we'll get straight into it. We were previewing the game against Leicester at the weekend. Obviously, we've had 2 weeks off watching Manchester United, which you could argue has been a bit of a relief. International football has been our saviour for a couple of weeks. But let's go to you first, Bainsy. Are you glad to see United back, and how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, I hope everyone's good as well in the comments and on the panel. I have missed them. I've missed them. I don't know why either. I really don't know why. It's probably because I don't really watch that many internationals. I just find this part of the season quite boring when there's just nothing games. There's been a few good international games. Don't get me wrong. I've caught up some highlights, but I have actually missed United, and I don't know why, because we haven't had exactly the greatest season of them all. But looking forward to it on Saturday. It's going to be a good game. Two teams need to get a result. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Good. You, Gavin, how are you feeling about United being back? Are you...
Well, I'm just glad to have not lost any more hair over the last 2 weeks.
That is something.
Yeah. No, when there's an international break and there's something on the line, like the Portugal-Italy situation where they're actually doing World Cup qualifications, it's all right because you can sort of get involved and feel the vibes. But when you're watching friendlies with England, they're sort of just throwaway matches. So a bit mixed with this one. It wasn't too bad. I mean, that North Macedonia-Italy result was quite satisfying.
Yeah, definitely. I think they deserve that for all the little bit of gloat.
That was a funny result.
Yeah, definitely humorous, and good that Bruno and Ronaldo obviously go into the World Cup, and the 5th World Cup for Ronaldo. So obviously pretty impressive. We'll come to you, Reese. How are you doing, mate? How are you doing?
I'm good, guys. I'm good. Yeah, I mean, just like Bainsy, really, it's not the greatest time of the year, is it? An international 2-week break. But yeah, it was. I suppose England played well, and I think from that, I think some of I thought Maguire. Obviously, we'll touch on Maguire, won't we, a little bit later on? But I thought he had a good game against Ivory Coast, to be fair. But the Leicester game, it's a big game, really, isn't it? I mean, obviously now it's kind of the only thing that we're all playing for, which is top 4. So, and Leicester kind of won the previous game, albeit at the King Power at 4-2. So it's got a bit of a thumping last time. So we've got a bit of a point to prove to turn that around, I think. And obviously we're playing for something still. So hopefully, a big result on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, the Arsene Wenger Trophy is still up for grabs, so we're gonna have to just go hell for leather for that. Should we get into what happened at Wembley last night then? Because like I said before we came on, the Harry Maguire thing wasn't going to be as high up the pecking order of what we're going to talk about tonight, but as it happens, loads of players have come out defending him, and Gareth Southgate's made some comments as well. But obviously, he was booed last night at Wembley, and that's kind of following on from little murmurs around Old Trafford and generally online for some of the United fan base. I'm not saying all of us or any of you guys or anything like that, but obviously there's been a lot of discontent around the player recently. What did you make of what happened last night, Bainsy? I can't imagine that you agree with the booing, but what's your take on it?
No, it's all a bit weird. It's just. I mean, don't forget this. Sorry to mention that this weren't like the whole stadium. So for anyone that didn't watch the game, this was just a select few fans. And from what I could hear and see, and what I heard of it this morning, I actually didn't watch the game, but I heard of it this morning. That obviously Southgate's come out and defended him, and there's been a few of his teammates have come out and defended him. Look, no one is really in football. No one is safe from criticism. And criticism can be thrown at anyone, and it could be Messi or Ronaldo, the greats of the greats, or it could be, in this case, Maguire. I don't think anyone's free of that. So it's just a way some fans go across to do this criticism. It's got to a point now where it's just a bandwagon, and everyone's just sort of chucking themselves in because it's the popular opinion. I don't necessarily agree with that. Look, he hasn't had a great season. I'll be the first one to admit it. But again, it's like people have come out and said, "Oh, he's been a rubbish signing, and he's a rubbish captain, and he's been okay." Yeah, honestly, he's not been that bad. I mean, last year we missed out on a trophy. I'm still sticking by the gun that we missed out on the Europa League final because he weren't playing, and the reason why I say that is because the way they mark, how United used to mark last year, that was Harry Maguire's man, and 9 times out of 10 he's heading it out in the stands or away. So yeah, we missed him last year, and that's why we didn't get that trophy. I truly believe that. And even if you go back a couple of seasons, Harry Maguire's been all right. Yeah, honestly, he's not been that bad. He's a good defender. I'm not going to go out there and say that he's world class and he's this and that and blah blah blah. And it's not his fault that he cost 80 million. Leicester have obviously done a job on us, like most clubs do now. But look, he's not a bad defender. This whole bandwagon type of just throwing him under the bus and trying to get him down, it's just not right. It's just not how I support the players. If I see some players that are down, you go and support them. Tweet them or whatever. They may not read it, but fuck it, they might once. I'm definitely not for it. I'm sure he'll bounce back and he'll probably ignore half the criticism anyway. So
I'd agree. I think he'll have his fingers in his ears again, won't he? I don't know if he'll be sliding around again. But yeah.
Could you imagine? Yeah. He scores a winner against Leicester, and he'll do that and slide it into the corner.
What was your thoughts on it, Gav? Did you see the game last night? I mean, I missed the first 10 minutes. I think that was when a lot of the boom was happening, to be honest with you. But
just jumping off of what Bainesy was saying, towards the end of last season, he picked up that injury and he was out of the team for a little bit. And we just seemed to suddenly start leaking goals. And everybody in the fan base were like, we need to get Maguire back. We need to get Maguire back. So there is a player in there. And, nobody ever thought or put him on a pedestal of he's an 80 million pound player. We all knew who he was before he came. And he was, like he said just now, he's been solid for the last couple of years. And he's not the only one that came back from the Euros not the player that he was in the Euros. Luke Shaw did exactly the same. So I'm of the mindset that I'm all right with booze. I've actually got a bad taste in my mouth because I've actually been agreeing with Jamie Carragher today, and it's not nice. It's left a real horrible sour taste in my mouth. But
what did he say?
I've not seen that either.
He's basically been saying that the players that are getting booed are not above criticism, and if they don't like it, they've got 2 choices. They can either stick to it and work and turn the fans around, or they can move on. And in that sense, I can sort of see where he's coming from, because he's similar to me. He's very old school. He's from a time where if the team were playing bad, there'd be boos around the stadium. It still happens in modern day. I was sort of talking to someone a couple of days ago, and I said, if Mo Salah 2-footed Luke Shaw and the ref didn't give a card, every time Mo Salah touched the ball, the fans would boo. Is that not mental health? Is that not going to affect him? So context is key with this. I disagree with the booing because of when the booing happened. It happened at a point where you're sort of like, well, he hasn't actually done anything yet.
Yeah.
It's not his
team
fault.
sheet. Was it because he read the team sheet when it was something?
I believe so, yeah.
It's not his fault that he's getting called up to be in the England squad, and it's not his fault that he's being picked to be on this team sheet. And throughout the Euros, he was one of the best players on the pitch. We were all singing his praises. So for him to be called up, I've got no problem with it. Do I disagree with him starting? Yeah, maybe. because I'm sort of the mindset that players should play on merit, not on reputation. And yes, he was good in the Euros, but since then he hasn't been. So should we really take his Euros England performances and say, oh, well, he's going to be all right? He was all right. He was solid, nothing too shabby. There was no mistakes. He did his job. He was very workmanlike, and that's all you can ask for. And I do hope that will give him a little boost and come back. But the overreaction from players, from managers, from everywhere, it's like, why have you chosen this one player who's getting booed to put out there that suddenly booing is a problem?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think a lot has been made of the sort of atmosphere and camaraderie that the England team have worked to put together, and you kind of undo that sort of booing. I think that's what Southgate was saying in his press conference last night, and it was, in a way, I mean, obviously this is England chat rather than United chat, but in a way, it's nice to see players rallying around each other and having team spirit in a national team. Because you haven't seen that. You don't see that very often. Years. No, so that in that respect, it's good. But I just wanted to put the point out there to Reece. Really, I mean, he's got criticism all year at his club. Would you expect his United teammates to maybe rally around him the same way that his England teammates have, or does that point to problems at the club, or is that just the atmosphere that's been built at England, and it's a good point. They're going to do.
Yeah, it's a really good point, that, because I think that's half the problem with the United team at the minute, isn't it? I think we're quite poor at rallying around each other. I think Rashford had that issue, didn't he? Rashford had an issue. I think Sancho had an issue coming into the team, and we've not been a really good collective group. And we are screaming out for. I think Roy Keane's been quite vocal about this senior players and how important that was to him when he came into teams, that he's been involved with in Notts Forest, and then obviously at United, where they had these senior figures around him who sort of set a standard. And I think that's a problem, really, that we've not had that collective. All the players these days sort of work on their own, focus on their own games and their own profiles outside of football. That's kind of where the problems sort of lie. But I mean, just to touch on some of the other points as well, I think obviously it's a subjective game, isn't it? We all get a view. The whole reason we're on this show and this panel, it gives us a chance to speak our mind and give our view. And I think obviously fans booing is just part and parcel of the game. There's not a collective voice of 50-odd thousand, 70-odd thousand people can do other than boo, whistle, jeer, whatever, to express their disappointment. And I think, as Bainesy said, I think the unfortunate thing Maguire's in now is that he's become a little bit of a meme. And it's not really, they're waiting for that opportunity to chastise a bad performance, when really, against Ivory Coast, he was pretty good. If you actually watch the Ollie Watkins goal, and Roy Keane pointed it out, actually, I watched the
good ball in, wasn't it?
After the game. He was the one that played the pass into Ollie Watkins. Yeah. So, it's like, as a defender, there's not, unless you score a goal from a corner, generally, you're not going to get a lot of opportunities to turn that bad feedback around, because you're there to stop goals. It's not really glamorous. Whereas a striker, Ronaldo, goes on a bit of a drought. Next minute, he scores a hat-trick against Spurs, and everybody's back on his side. So it's difficult for Maguire to turn that around, because we're expecting him to make clean sheets. And let's be honest, he's in an illustrious club full of illustrious centre-halves that we've had over the period of time. So it's difficult. The unfortunate thing is we're going through a very bad patch, and we've got a lot of new faces in. We're still worryingly, although it's not a topic I know for tonight, Simon, but worryingly not assigned a manager yet, although I think we're pretty close. And there's a lot to do. But Maguire, he's going to be the focal point, because he's a big part of what Southgate's England team's all about. He's a big part of what Man United's team's all about, after being captain and having this £80 million price tag to his name. And so he's going to get that criticism. And let's be honest, everybody likes to throw a dig at Man United. So if there's a Man United player who's not performing at the level they should be at, I'm guaranteed half of those England fans booing were probably Liverpool fans, Man City fans,
Leeds fans.
So I wouldn't worry about it. He's got the backing of Southgate. He's clearly got the backing of the management at United and United fans just need to get a bit behind him a little bit and give him another season for me, and let's see how we get on with him. But no, I think we could just be a little bit fickle sometimes as fans, and we just need to probably look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, I would agree. We've seen it a lot with United players over the years, haven't we? Especially with England, Phil Neville, David Beckham had burning effigies about him. There's been lots of it. I mean, Wayne Rooney wasn't above criticism, even being England's leading goal scorer for now. So we're used to United players getting a lot of stick because we're hated for good reasons, because we've been successful, but for winning. So I mean, it is a little bit to be expected, but again, I personally think unnecessary, especially from England fans that haven't really seen him put in bad performances for the team they're watching. And what do they care? What do they care what he's doing for United if it doesn't translate to his England form? And it didn't do. I mean, he didn't have a lot to do last night because the sending off changed the game, and it was just 10 men behind the ball for Ivory Coast, wasn't it? So, we're just going to go to a point that John's made in the comments. So I just wanted to run this by you. What sort of reception do you think he's going to get? Because John says he thinks his Old Trafford will get behind him at the weekend, especially because it's against Leicester, obviously. Bainesy, what do you think the United fans will kind of get behind him? Because we don't like to see one of our own.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Look, if we just go back for the history of United players, even recently, Sancho and Rashford missed their penalties in the Euro final, got a tremendous amount of backing from United fans. You go back to Rooney when he said, "Oh, that's what it's like for our fans to boo you," and all that. Got a tremendous amount of support again from United fans. You think about Beckham, whatever happened to him with the burning, all of that happened after the World Cup. It was a '98 World Cup, wasn't it? And he got a tremendous amount of support from United fans, and I expect exactly the same come Saturday. Look, let's not get it wrong. It's just a select few people who took the opportunity to jeer him or whatever on that game. And I'm pretty sure, like Reece said, it was probably just rival fans, like Liverpool fans and probably Leeds. They don't like him, do they? So it's just, it's just one of those things. And I don't think there's going to be, to be honest, what I am expecting is probably a big cheer. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And it wouldn't surprise me that it's going to go one way or the other, where he will either have a tremendous game, might even score or come close to it and keep a clean sheet. Or what will happen is that he will make a mistake and it will lead to a goal. And then you just get the pile-on effect where it's like, well, I told you so, this, that, and the other. The guy's just having a bad season. No one in United, in the United top can hold their head high and go, yeah, I've had a good season though. So no one in that team can. So I think it's just a pile-on effect. I like to think that the majority of the fans at Old Trafford will get behind him like they usually do with all the United teams. But I don't see it being a big problem from this weekend onwards. I think it'll all be forgotten about, to be honest.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Anything else to add on that, Gav?
Yeah, his mentality, it doesn't come across to me as the type of person who will hang his head and sort of beat him. He comes across to me as somebody who can just go through it and come out the other side. That goal he scored where he put his fingers in his ears, that sort of shows you the mentality he's got. Now, we've got the best fans when it comes to home stadium and away for supporting players who are either under attack by the media, rivals or whatever, or even going through a bad patch. You've only got to look at the Ollie situation where the Old Trafford faithful literally sang his name every single game, regardless. I mean, we had a few that was towards the end, and I do think that we might get the odd section that might boost, similar to what we had for the England match. But we got to remember, there are going to be Leicester fans in there as well, and he's an ex-Leicester fan, so ex-Leicester player. So if there are boos, they're not necessarily coming from the Manchester United side of the stadium. But I think it'll just push him. I think he'll use it. I think he'll stand up. He'll take it on his shoulders and he'll say, you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go there. I'm going to be the captain. I'm going to command my position, and he'll have a solid game like he did with England.
Yeah, let's hope so. Reece, you got any last points on that before we kind of move on to the debate about our best centre back partnership? Obviously, it's going to involve Maguire in that debate as well, but
no, not really. I think we've kind of said it all, haven't we? Really, and yeah, hopefully, like I say, the reaction from the fans I just want to support. Really, it's great to be back at Old Trafford again after a couple of weeks off. There's only so many games left. What is it? 7 or 8 games left now. So yeah, got to enjoy it as much as you can and support the players. So no.
Yep. Well, the thumbnail for the show tonight was actually about debating our best centre back partnerships. I believe they're all fit, and I don't believe United have got any absences this weekend.
Is Varane fit?
I believe so.
That's good.
He's not down. He played the other night, didn't he?
Did he play? Oh, okay, yeah, because he got that foot injury or something, wasn't it, or something like that? Did he play the other day as well?
He played the second game, so.
Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
80 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 80 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so I believe they're all fit. I mean, that might not be the case by the time people watch this, but yeah. So, I mean, all of them have played over the international break. Maguire obviously has gone away with England. Lindelof has played a lot for Sweden. Varane has played both games for France, and Eric Bailly's played both games for Ivory Coast. So the only person missing is Phil Jones, who we believe is having a great season.
I saw that. I was smoking earlier.
1 out of 1, brilliant. Yeah. But on that point, then, Burns, who would you say is our best centre back partnership? Assuming we're going for a back four like we normally do.
It'll be, if we're looking at back four, Dalot, Varane, Maguire, and then Telles probably. If we're really, I like Shaw and I like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but this season they haven't been great. So yeah, I would go with best. I think that I will still stick by Maguire and say that he is probably the best centre back with Varane. Varane hasn't had the best of seasons as well. He has been injured. He's made a couple of mistakes as well, but I feel like his reputation has slightly sort of preceded him in the fact that he doesn't really get as much as stick. But yeah, Varane and Maguire. Don't get me wrong. I like Lindelof as well, and I actually think that he's great. And he's obviously had this long-term relationship with Maguire as well, and they haven't done too bad. But yeah, Varane and Maguire, I think, and if it's ever going to change, it will end up being Varane and Lindelof. But Varane and Maguire for me. Bailly's just, I think he'll get sold. To be honest, the guy's always injured. So yeah, Varane and Maguire for me.
And then Dalot and Telles as your
Again, I like Shaw, and I know he scored. He played all right in the internationals, and I know he's a good progressor of the ball. I don't know, to be honest, because Shaw hasn't really had a good season. I'm not saying Telles has been outstanding as well. None of the back four have been outstanding. None of the team have. So you can't really pick them out. I'm just saying it because Telles is the one that's played the majority of the season and done all right there. And the exact same with Dalot. He's played most of the season since Ollie's been sacked. He's seemed to be the favourable right back. I still don't think he's better than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That's for me that's probably another show. But yeah, Dalot will probably get in most probably.
Yeah, Gav, what's your take on it? I mean, Victor Lindelof has played a lot of football in the international break, more than any of the other three, because he played 120 minutes, going to extra time in the first game against Czech Republic, and then another full 90 captaining Sweden both times. So, is that a factor, or would you put him in anyway, or would you stick with Varane and Maguire like Baines has there?
Do we know when Fred and Telles get back from Brazil? Is it next couple of days? Are they going to do?
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah,
I actually don't know. They might be back late because are they not playing today?
No, they played last night. They played.
Oh, they played last night, so they might be back either tomorrow. Then, if they're back tomorrow, then they might be okay.
You're all right, yeah. So for me, if you'd asked me a few weeks ago, I probably would have said Varane and Lindelof, because when they had that partnership, they seemed to, complement each other. I love the range of Lindelof's passing. He just seemed a better defender when he was playing next to Varane than he did last season when it was against when he was with Harry Maguire. He just seemed to raise his game, and we've all praised him this season for how he's improved, and he's made himself more. It's more of a debate as whether it's Maguire and Lindelof. It's we didn't really have that last season, because although we had Bailly, he's got hamstrings like pies, like breadstick. You break him you play him till he breaks. It's that kind of thing. So we really only had him, Lindelof and Maguire. This season with Varane, he's had a few injuries, but when we've had him and he's played with Maguire's looked almost nervous, out of position. His decision making hasn't always been great. So I don't know whether it's because of the partnership that it doesn't suit Maguire to have somebody who wants to play forward, if you know what I mean, at that high line. We know about Maguire and his pace, and I do worry about when he's with Varane. But it's that United blood in me. I want to get behind him. I don't want it to have a detrimental effect on him by taking him out of the team. And I genuinely think that Ralph will play him anyway, regardless. Even if we got a new manager in, whichever one comes in, I still think that they'd probably stick with Maguire. I just think he's more favourable than Lindelof. So for me, it would be Varane and Maguire. I agree with Dallo. Telles, sure. That one is a bit more close debate for me, because you could see the benefits of having both. Luke Shaw getting on the score sheet, playing a little bit better for England, but then coming out with the comments he made. Is he going to come back and is that going to translate to his United performances, or is he going to bring back the baggage that he was bringing out over the weekend? So yeah, question marks over that. So maybe play Tellers.
Yeah, I think like we touched on before, the travelling aspect for the Brazilians. I mean, Tellers only played one of the games and Fred only played one of the games, so I think it's just probably more down to jet lag rather than too much minutes in Brazil. We'll come to you, Reese, on your preference for a back four and a centre back duo. Now, one of the interesting things Southgate said last night, when this was extra bigging Maguire up, he says that he believes Maguire is actually United's best centre back, which was a bold statement considering Varane's World Cup winner and Champions League winner multiple times and stuff like that. What was your take on that? And then kind of what's your preference for the back four?
I mean, we're not exactly blessed in that area, are we? So it's a bit of a backhanded compliment, really, isn't it? But no, I mean, I agree with both the guys. I think the Maguire and Maguire and Varane are really our best two. I think when they've played together, we've been a little bit more solid. I mean, the game in itself, really, I think Maguire comes into his own when he's got the game in front of him, when we're controlling a little bit of the game in front of him. Obviously his struggles have come when he's been running back towards his own goal, and he's been struggling for that pace. He's not got that in abundance. What he is good at is playing those balls into those strikers and into those wide areas. So I think he's good with Varane. I do like Lindelof. I think for me, he's rotation. I do think he's that. He's young enough to still be rotation, for a centre half as well, who can play well into the sort of 30s and mid-30s and stuff like that. I was looking at the sort of Leicester formation, and we played with a back four of Luke Shaw, Aaron Maguire, Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka. And we got Pogba was in the midfield with Matic. Pogba, Lindelof, and Wan-Bissaka on the right hand side all got yellow cards. And we probably got exposed on that right hand side. Wan-Bissaka's a great defensive fullback, as we know. Right-sided fullback, and he's just had a real bad spell this last sort of 12 months. Luke Shaw, I think the thing with Luke Shaw that we're all hoping, I think, Blakey mentioned about his Euros, Luke Shaw's Euros, and it was unbelievable. If we can see that Luke Shaw coming to the United team, I think we know that Tellers is at max level. Tellers is at his top gear, and he's playing well, and I think he deserves his place in the starting 11 because Shaw's not at that level at the minute. But we know if Shaw wants to raise his game, he's better than Tellers. He's got to level up. Yeah. He's got 2 gears better than Tellers. And that's the Shaw we want to see, because we know Tellers can't reach that level that Shaw's at if he wants to put his mind to it. So I think at this moment in time, it's definitely Tellers in that position. Once Shaw gets his form back, Shaw takes it hands down, I think. But in terms of the centre-back partnership, it's got to be Maguire and Varane. I think just out of experience from Varane's point of view, I think he's gradually starting to get a little bit of a foothold in the team in terms of making some consistent performances as well. It takes time. That position doesn't come in overnight. When you come into a team, I'm not sure what his English is like, but obviously he's got to sort of interact with all the other teammates. He's got a partnership to build with Maguire. It's not been consistent. He's picked up some injuries. But yeah, no, that's definitely the best partnership, I think. And then on the right-hand side, I think Dellow's done nothing wrong to get that right-back position. But Wan-Bissaka's just not been good enough. But again, I think Wan-Bissaka's got levels, and I think if he puts his mind to it like Shaw and he gets that form back, both Shaw and Wan-Bissaka have got a chance to get a place in the team.
Play themselves back in.
But not this weekend, I don't think, to be honest. I'm guessing we all want De Gea in the net, by the way. We didn't mention that one, but is that just a foregone conclusion?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. I would say so, but we'll touch on that shortly. Sorry, Gaff.
I will just say my only worry with regards to Leicester Maguire being in the back four is they do like to give up possession, and then you've got the ball over the top for Vardy or the fast counter attacks. We just recently have been sort of sitting back, giving up possession, losing that midfield battle. If we can control the game, is Maguire going to be able to work with regards to Vardy and that ball over the top? And that's sort of where my only concern would be with him being in the team. Aside from that, I think he'll be solid. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah,
I agree. I do agree with that. I think Vardy got a goal last time as well. So I totally agree with that. I think that's his biggest detriment, isn't it, to his game? That he's obviously mindful of that lack of pace, and he's constantly looking over his shoulder, thinking, "God, if I have to run back here, I'm in a bit of danger." But if we control the game in midfield and he's got the game in front of him, he starts coming into his own. But yeah, I think the partnership is definitely Maguire and Varane, because hopefully Varane's fit and ready to go. So
yeah, bit of a consensus there, really. Everybody's gone for the same centre-back partnership, so everybody's gone for the same right-back, I think, as well. And did we all go for Tellers at left-back then? I didn't know one of them.
Yeah, Tellers at left-back. Yeah, sorry, I didn't make that clear.
Yeah, so we'll put that in the lineup later on. We'll get a graphic up and we'll put a team together as if we are manager. But before we do that, should we touch on some of the other? I mean, the only way we've got of really measuring any form for the last 2 weeks is obviously international games, and for the players that have gone away. Obviously, great to see Bruno and Ronaldo, especially Bruno getting 2 in that decisive game, Bainsy. That's going to be really important to see him firing again, because, again, he's had a bit of criticism like everyone has.
Yeah. To be honest, to replicate Bruno's past seasons, it's going to be... He set the bar really high. It's going to be... I knew when we signed Ronaldo that Bruno's goals would dry up. And I've said this a few times on previous shows, that I don't mind his goals drying up. What doesn't dry up is the chances created stat. That's really why we bought Bruno in. We knew he could create a chance. He's that risk taker, and he does play hero ball now and then. And as long as that chances created stat, as long as that's still way up there and one of the best in the league, which it is, that's important. Now the goals and assists will come naturally, and we saw that he got 2 goals for Portugal, and he plays like almost like an off a striker. It's a really weird like rendition of a 10, like a traditional 10 would sit behind the striker and create and link the defensive midfielders or the defenders to the attackers and all sorts. But he sort of made a position for himself where he sort of likes to run in behind late runs into the box. With Bruno and Ronaldo, it's going to be an interesting few games now that are coming up. They're going to have plenty of rest between the games. We need them the most. We just need them firing again, and hopefully now with Bruno's 2 goals that have just come out, and he did have a good game, and Ronaldo did have a good game. I think Ronaldo got an assist, didn't he, for one of the goals?
Yeah, in the first game, I think was it.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely important. That's it. Yeah. He passed the ball across, and them 2 are definitely important for our next 9 games are left or something. So he's not going to replicate the numbers that he has done in the past couple of seasons. I'm not expecting him to because he hasn't done all season. But what would be good if he just keeps creating. You've got Ronaldo there who just needs one shot, one chance kind of one shot, one goal kind of player. So hopefully now in the next sort of 9 games, he can really sort of kick on and get us up there.
Yep. Anything to add on that, Gav, or would you like to touch on any of the other players' performances? I mean, Pogba was in the news again with some of his comments. Any thoughts on that? I mean, it's nothing new. It's happened quite a few times now.
It's one of those over the top of the head now. What will be with Pogba in the summer. It'll come, it'll go. I think everybody's just, Pogba said something. Yeah. Oh, really? Yep. Fair enough. It's nothing now. There's no anger or frustration like it was when, the night before we were supposed to play Leipzig. So, that there was a whole different feeling when that came out. This, now we're used to it. With Bruno, the media tried saying, "Oh, well, it's only North Macedonia," but at the end of the day, you got to score to win games, and he got the 2 goals. So it doesn't matter who you're playing against. If you score the goals, you win the games. And considering he's having his bad season, he's still got quite a high number of goals and assists.
Yeah.
I agree with Bainesy. Not to the level that when he first joined, but that's more like, right, this is what I can do, and this is what I'm going to try and do every season. I've set the bar to here, and I'm going to keep trying to get to that every single season. And it's been a bit of a slow one, but I saw a stat saying that since he joined, he has the most chances created out of any player in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. So people criticizing with the passing, the hero ball, there are players who don't like Bruno, who don't want him in the team. And I'm sort of left just scratching his stat pads. Yeah, but the stats he's padding win matches. It's like, I want that. I want him to have the goals, the assists, the trying to create, to give to the forwards, the wingers, and get us attacking. We need to win games. There's nowhere to hide now. We've got a very short amount of time with a very few games. We've got teams around us who were technically on form, maybe not Spurs. They're sort of finding their feet. Arsenal, they seem to be going along, just doing their thing. And West Ham haven't gone out of the top 4 race themselves. So we need to get behind the players. We need to be literally propping them up and saying, right, we know what you can do. Just go and do it. That's all we can ask.
Yeah. On the Bruno point as well, people calling it stat padding, but has any United player got anywhere near the sort of chances created or assist levels as Bruno in the last decade? Nowhere near. So
it's not even just United though, it's any team.
It's anywhere,
He's been higher than KDB, and that sort you see the back and forth between the two of them, and yet Bruno is not held in a similar light to him.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Possibly the United factor there, isn't it? I suppose. Reese, anything else to add on Bruno? Really, I mean, the one other big talking point other than Pogba, I think there's not much point in talking about him now. But Cavani had a couple of appearances, managed to be miraculously be fit for Uruguay, but now seems to have got injured in that second game. He's only played half an hour in each game, but
Are you joking?
So, yeah, he came off injured after half an hour. He started last night and came off injured. So
man.
So
I think
he's off.
The Cavani one, I think, is kind of dead and buried in it, really, sadly for Cavani. And I think Ronaldo coming in probably was the nail in the coffin. Maybe not the final one, but I think the injuries have been the final one for him. But no, I mean Bruno. Bruno's incredible last season. He came in. It was the January window, wasn't it? The season before, and it was. And he drove us to top four, and unbelievable, pretty much on his own at times. Incredible, really. I think what's not helped him is we've put so much reliance on him since he's come to United. Yeah, the Ronaldo thing probably knocked his confidence a little bit because he was the man in the team, and then suddenly he wasn't the man in the team. So he had to suffer with that a little bit, and he had a great start, didn't he, at Leeds, at Old Trafford.
Pre-Ronaldo,
yeah, and then he just went down a little bit downhill. I'm sort of blaming Ronaldo, but I think he just had to come to terms with the fact that suddenly then there was another guy in the team that had more about him than probably Bruno did at the time. But I also think as well we put a lot of minutes on Bruno, and sometimes I don't think it's too bad to rest players and to leave them out. We left him out at Spurs. Yeah, it was a close 3-2 game, but we left him out. He wasn't in the team. I think, was it a suspension or an injury? There was something there, wasn't there?
He was ill, weren't he? So I'm not sure.
He was ill, yeah. And he wasn't in the team. We won that game 3-2. And I'm not saying let's leave Bruno out. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate here. Obviously, we need him in the team. But I don't think resting him is sometimes a bad option. He plays a lot of minutes every game, every cup game, every European game, every league game, for pretty much 80 minutes a game. Leaving him out a game is not a bad option, and he comes back refreshed. He was scored for Portugal. So after probably a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks off, obviously didn't play it against Spurs, so he's had about a fortnight off. So no, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. His inclusion, his assists, his goals. His commitment to the team. Obviously, he absolutely loves playing for Man United, loves playing in the Premier League, and he needs to be part of the team, a major part of the team. But sometimes it's just protecting him from himself. I think he tries a little bit too hard, and sometimes he just needs a bit of a rest. But I think, obviously we've had a good break. He's had some good performances for Portugal, so hopefully coming into the Leicester game, he'll be fresh and ready to go, and we'll see a good Bruno like we did a year ago. So
yeah. Hopefully. Go on, go.
How do you all feel about the moaning, the sort of petulance that he's got in his game this season? Don't get me wrong, it's frustration, and you can tell that it's just frustration. But whereas the last season or a season and a half, he would be directing it at the players, he seems now to have sort of changed, and he's very... I don't know whether it's the Ronaldo effect, because Ronaldo complains to the referee all the time about decisions. So maybe he's picked up on that. But how do you guys feel about the way Bruno is?
Yeah, it's a really good point. That I think as United fans, and I'm not sure if you guys agree with this, but I think we've always had a fairly no nonsense British type team, haven't we? With the inclusion of some European talent in there. So often we had this kind of culture where it was no nonsense. We didn't really complain to the referee. Okay, Roy Keane did, but I mean, not in the sense of like throwing his hands up and petulance and whinging and moaning and complaining, I suppose. And so for me, we're starting to see this kind of European theme in the team now, where it's like this constant kind of moaning and crying and it's. I think as a fan, I'm not used to seeing that. I just want the players to sometimes get on with it, stop complaining, and just really have a bit of grit and a lack of that sort of thing. Sorry, Gav, what you were saying?
Do you think it's a manager sort of thing? Because obviously, when Ollie was the manager, everything was sort of positivity. Whether it was in the press conferences, whether it was match after the match, where every time you sort of got the impression that there was a positivity going through the squad. And since Ralph has come in, he's got that German precision and he wants everything done in a certain way. Maybe that is bringing out a side of the players that wasn't there through the Ollie sort of couple of years that he was there. So I don't know whether that's a factor.
Well, I'll let Bainesy take this one, but I mean, for me, just really quickly, I think Fergie would have stamped it out, and I think there's other managers that we're probably all screaming for that we want to see stamp it out. And I won't mention names, but I'm sure there's a few out there that wouldn't put up with it. But Bainesy, what do you think?
I actually think it's a combination of frustration. I think there's a lot of decisions that haven't really gone United's way this season. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but last year I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but the amount of penalties we got last year, and I'm not saying that they aren't penalties or they are penalties. There was a lot this year that weren't given that would have last year, and I don't know if there's been a tweak to how the referees respond to certain United players, or Ronaldo brings that reputation. I don't know. I think it's more. I really do think it's more frustration. These players were cheered on from Ollie and the coaching staff to go out there and potentially go win a league, and see it all fall in front of them and crumble away. And then you had the protection from Ollie, who would always protect the players in the press conferences and whatever. See that barrier go, and then you bring in someone like Ranić, who, don't get me wrong, has sort of gone in and gone, I'm not protecting anyone here. I've got a job to do upstairs. I'm just doing an interim job here. I'm not going to protect you. And I feel like it's a bit of everything. And they're just trying to not really blame each other. I think they're just trying to, they see the referee and they go, right, it's your fault. It's your fault why we're doing this. And don't get me wrong, I think also Ronaldo, he likes to chip in. And I think the leaders on the pitch, like the captain, for example, if there's a problem with the referee, the captain should be the first one to go and speak to him and say, right, okay, this is not on, or this, that, and the other. Where I think Ronaldo and Bruno are also taking that mantle. But I don't know, to be honest. I haven't really seen that side of Bruno since he's been here. Yeah. He goes down easy, and he holds his ankles or whatever and tries to win a free kick. Fair enough. But there's this new sort of moaning happening, and I don't really like it. And I agree with you, Reese. It's like over the years, and even in the Premier League, we've had teams where it's sort of no-nonsense British kind of players where they'll just sort of kick someone and they'll just get up, dust themselves down, and off you go again. And we have been used to that in the past years. So we've seen this sort of European style of players who would come in and moan and all sorts. But I think it's just a combination of frustration.
I think it's good full. What you mentioned as well there about the captain coming in, it's that kind of done full circle a little bit with Maguire, hasn't it?
Where you don't often see. I mean, you do see Maguire coming up to the referee, but not as much as you think that captain would. The captain is that leader. He's meant to be the leader on the pitch to say, right, my players are unhappy about something. You need to go and sort it out to the referee. You don't feel like that conversation is happening. So then Bruno and Ronaldo and other players, maybe even McTominay at some points, take that mantle. You only have to look back at previous captains, like Ashley Young used to do all the time with the referees. Rooney used to do it. Rooney always used to get in arguments with the referees. And how many times did he pick up yellow cards because the referee just had enough of it? Roy Keane was another one. So I feel like there's again, this is nothing to do with Maguire. I just feel like he needs to sort of step up and go, right, okay, he's not happy. What are you doing, ref? And blah, blah, blah. And I think that's where it's all coming from.
I think a lot of it is just a lot of things haven't gone right for us results wise. I mean, last season, obviously, we finished higher up the league and we're having better results. So that all feeds into it as well. Like you said, the decision making from referees has been different this year because VAR has been a bit different and the rules have been
Mm.
slightly different, which probably all feeds in. But yeah, just the general negativity around the place has probably all brought that to a head, I think. Well, I think we're going to move on from Bruno.
I was just going to say, I think Maguire has learned a little bit from Harry Kane in the way that he approaches the referee. There's a calmness to it, and
bit of respect, kind of thing.
Yeah. Rather than going in guns place.
Yeah, I think I think different cultures tend to deal with referees differently. Maybe that might be the case. But in terms of a team, then for Saturday, I think we've kind of picked the defense. I think we all agreed on that. I mean, I would go Luke Shaw, but you've outvoted me, so
we win.
You win that one. Is there anybody fighting for Dean Henderson to start above David De Gea in this one?
No, I was just joking. It's clearly going to be De Gea.
Yeah, it'll definitely be De Gea. I mean, I've got my reservations about De Gea. Don't get me wrong; he's a good shot stopper and he's an okay keeper. But I just think sometimes his sort of dominance in his area isn't quite there. He doesn't like charging out. He's kind of glued to his line. This is all very controversial, by the way, because I've been a very big fan of De Gea, but recently I've seen things. I'm like, he could come out and collect this ball, and he doesn't. And his distribution isn't great with his feet. And it used to be, this is new thing that his distribution isn't good. And I've always remembered it being quite good, but actually looking at it, it's not that great.
It looks a bit panicked.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think Henderson is the best either. I just think he's the better all-round keeper. But yeah, De Gea is going to start. We know that. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, right. We're going to try something now then. I've never done this before, so we're going to try and show the graphic as we're building the team. Let's see if we can do it. So that's the one. So where am I?
Look at this.
Look at this.
Wow,
very professional. Look at this. I'm loving this. It's like Sky Sports.
Yeah. I've nicked it for my own podcast, to be honest with you. I just repurposed it. But yeah, so that's what we're working with so far. The next thing to do is pick a midfield now, because I'm the boss. We're going 4-3. We're going 4-3-3. Okay. I don't really care which way you do it. It could be two City midfielders and Bruno 10, or it could be 2 8s and a 6, whichever. But let's get into who's going to be sitting in midfield. Bainesy, you're up now. There is the Fred coming back from Brazil fract.
I like McFred. Honestly, I do, and they're so. Again, I think it's the same topic as we discussed earlier. Is everyone just piling on? And they're like, oh, they're rubbish. They don't, but they don't do this, they don't do that. But it's facts that when them two play in the midfield, we never lose a game. I think they've only lost like 3 or 4 games in the past sort of 2 years they've played together. That's an incredible stat. And I think 2 of the games were Liverpool. The other one was City. And there was some fluke one. Oh, Sheffield United, I think it was. So it's not been many games. So I would put McFred with Bruno as my midfield. I know Pogba. Again, there's this thing about Pogba and Bruno playing, and as much as I would love for them to play together, I just think Bruno's got this sort of open role as the number 10, and Pogba likes playing as an 8, and he's not really a 6. So they're sort of a bit the defense gets a bit frail. So McFred and then Bruno as the 3, I think, in midfield.
Yep.
I'm not
Gav,
sure how the others feel.
Gav, what you saying for that? Is there any call for potentially Matic coming in? I mean, he will be fresh after not playing internationals.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He hasn't played throughout the last 2 weeks, and playing for 70 minutes, take him off, bring on either McTominay or Fred, whichever one you don't play.
Yeah.
There is a debate with regards to Pogba, but he got an assist in that France game where they won like 4-5-0. So there is a possibility that he's starting to come back into form. And if we can get the Pogba that we had at the beginning of the season where we thought he was going to break the assist record for the Premier League, then I can't see no reason why we don't play him. And it's a myth about Pogba and Bruno. They can play together. It's just the system that they were playing. I mean, the 4-2-2-2 doesn't work. The 4-2-3-1 doesn't work. I think If you ask Pogba to sort of sit back, that's where he sort of becomes a bit of a goat. If you give him that freedom to go forward and assist with Bruno and the wingers, that's where you get the best out of him. We can't do that if we've got McTominay or Fred as a lone DM. Hence the reason why we have the two of them. Because they complement each other. You've got Fred's tenacity and you've got McTominay's strength, and he is good with his feet. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to see both of them play forward, as in Pogba's position. Fred plays best in that sort of number 8 position, and McTominay going over the shoulder of Bruno, we know he can hit a very good shot and score some goals. So that's why I would go with Matic. Yes, he's old. Yes, he can't run the 90 minutes, but he's the only DM we've got who's actually a DM. So I'd go to him, Pogba, and Bruno.
That has been one that has worked before. I mean, during I think when Project Restart, weren't it? It was Pogba and Matic most of the time, and then Bruno in front of him. Obviously, not as a kind of a strict 4-3-3, and that was
Project Restart was probably the most fun I've ever had watching United for a long time. We were scoring goals for fun, and it was all because of the Bruno Pogba midfield with Matic sitting. There's a question there to be said whether Matic has got the legs to do 90 minutes, but again, like everyone said, that Matic is his legs are gone. I don't think he can cut it. That's why we probably need a DM, and that's why probably Bruno and Pogba this year has sort of suffered a little bit. But yeah, points taken.
We actually got a Martial hat-trick, didn't we? So
yeah. Sheffield United, yeah.
It was a strange time in many, many ways, wasn't it? Okay, Reese, who are you going for your 3? This is kind of going to be the decider here, really, aren't you? Unless I don't
know about that. Well, I was quite impressed with the midfield in the Spurs game. I thought it kind of worked, and yeah, we sort of obviously give away 2 goals, but there was a penalty and an own goal, really. So I thought the midfield kind of worked, and that was Fred and Matic in there. I think it could be Fred and McTominay or Fred and Matic. I think Matic, the difference with Matic a little bit is I think he gets the ball moving forward. He progresses it forward a little further, a little more. Whereas, and I've seen that happen a couple of times. It was the Watford game where I think we were just trying to get that goal. Matic came on and he was starting to, instead of going left and right like we've been doing most of this season, he was forward. He was trying to play a progressive ball forward, and that's where we struggle. And obviously that's where we miss Pogba a little bit. He's done it on occasions, but not enough for the quality that we all speak of Pogba. So, and I think since his injury, since he come back in the new year, he's not been at full fitness, and he's got 60 minutes and he's gassing. So I think, to be honest, we've got to go with a full strength fit team. That could be Fred, Matic, and Bruno for me. But it'll be a toss up between Matic and McTominay, just depending on whether he feels as if McTominay's just got a little bit more legs and he can be a bit more of an enforcer in there. But it's I think Matic has got a better passing range at the minute than McTominay. So it just kind of depends whether he wants to tighten up a little bit and go with McTominay, or I think be a bit more progressive. But I'm going to go with Matic, Fred, and Bruno, I think.
He's got that positional awareness as well. So, he knows the danger areas because of being that DM. He knows where to be to sort of cut these things out. And like Reece just said, he's always
experience.
He's always got that eye. Who can I get it forward to? So that's sort of where I was leaning. But I agree with Bainesy. Similar with Mata, really. They've got the IQ, they've got the technique and everything that you need to be the players that they are. But they're let on and they can't do it for, 60 minutes, 70 maybe.
So this is where we're up to then. Just 1 second. Because I have to take
Sky Sports graphic is coming out.
I had to take Luke Shaw out of the first one because I put him in. My bias was coming through. so we'll have to.
I didn't even notice.
I noticed. I was like, shit, I've done it wrong. So
there it is.
That's what we're up to. That's what we're up to. So yeah, I think Matic is a good shout. I think the fact that Fred only played 80 odd minutes of one of Brazil's games, so the travel is a bit of a factor. But McTominay also played 2 games for Scotland, and Fred has been pretty dazzling so far. Some of his bits against Atletico, even in a disappointing performance generally, I mean, was great. Bruno's been in form for Portugal, getting on the score sheet again, linking with Ronaldo. So I think those are all positives. So I would go with them. They've got the most votes overall. So, and I would kind of agree with that. Although I've got nothing against McTominay. Pogba's probably got a shout, but Fred's probably been a little bit better than him recently. And like Reece says, Pogba hasn't looked the fittest. I mean, he's probably a bit further along in his progression of getting fit properly again now. But maybe something off the bench, or he could play further forward off the left. But we'll have a debate about that as well. So on to the forwards. Now, shall we do the wingers? In fact, should we just?
We kind of know Ronaldo's going to start. Don't we?
I was just going to say, shall we just say Ronaldo's playing?
Just put him in. Yeah. There's no. I mean, we haven't actually got anyone else, have we?
No.
Gav on the saga holiday, isn't he? So,
Gav, any qualms with it being Ronaldo, or is there a call for Alanga, Sancho, and Rashford possibly?
No, I'd say Atlanta. I think Rashford out, he needs a bit of a break, bless him. I think he needs to step away for a little bit and sort himself out in his mentality, with his injuries, get refresh and get back to the team and sort of fight for his place. I think Alanga, he's played well when we've asked him to. He has been great off the bench, but the only way he's going to progress is by playing him. And with Rashford being out of form, I think him on the right or left, and Sancho on the right or left, and then Ronaldo.
Yeah, I think it's going that way. Reece, would you say any different to that? Would you go with the idea that I kind of posed there half-heartedly? Because I don't think it'll be the 3 younger lads.
I don't know if Rashford will start, but then again, he's sort of been training, hasn't he, rather than playing? So maybe he's fully ready to go. I'm going to say Alanga just to be controversial and say it's going to be Ronaldo, Alanga right, Sancho left. I think, but it could quite easily be Rashford. Again, it's the kind of the Matic, McTominay kind of thing as well, isn't it? That they could quite easily either of them come in and do a job. And you know, Rashford's a separate debate all on its own, isn't it? For 20 minutes of a show, but it's obviously we all want to see him come back and start getting back into form. But yeah.
So you've gone for Alanga over Rashford. Right, so Bainesy, you have got the final call again, unless I have to step in. So are you saying that Sancho will start? I can't imagine you having much argument with that.
Yes, definitely Sancho, and obviously Ronaldo. I'm actually tempted to put Rashford in simply because of the 2 weeks he didn't go on international duty, and he's had sort of 2 weeks to sort of step away from everything. There's not been much said. All the limelight's kind of off him. And maybe the Maguire news might actually help him out a little bit. As bad as it sounds, that sort of kind of the heat has now gone to Maguire, and everyone's focusing on Maguire, whereas before it was Rashford. So I'd love to see Rashford back where he is and scoring goals and taking on players. His confidence is just shot. I really do. I really do hope he's okay. There's clearly obviously something wrong, whether it be something at home or on the training pitch, or something's happening elsewhere. I've got a soft spot for him, and I hope I would play him. There's nothing against Alanga, by the way. I think he's great as well. I would just put Rashford, Ronaldo, and Sancho. I don't know what side I would put him. He plays better on the left, but then we've seen Sancho play better on the left as well. So again, we're having this right winger conundrum at United where we just can't find a right winger to play there and play well. So
this is what we've got then. There you go.
Fluidity, though. I do like where you've got the wingers that can interchange.
Yeah. It's always got the fullback thinking, who am I marking now? And, something different.
In that season where we had Greenwood, Rashford and Martial, the fluidity of the front three.
They would always interchange,
So I'm more than happy for either Rashford and Sancho, Elanga and Sancho. I do think Sancho is definitely nailed on. He's got to carry on because he was just getting to hit some form. So it is just a bit of a heads or tails when it comes to Rashford or Elanga, really.
I mean, look at that team. Look, on paper, that team looks great, doesn't it?
You
just think, how we're not blitzing teams. Like, I mean, okay, look, Ash is a bit old, and you put Shaw in for Tellez or Wan-Bissaka, but you just look at that team and you think, how are we in this position right now at this part of the season, and we're not sort of way up there? I don't know.
We should have more faith that we should be able to win the majority of our games. I mean, we got quite a few tough games as well, but a lot of the teams around us have got tough games. So it's not all dead and buried just yet. And like you say, with a pretty much fully fit squad, barring Cavani, surprisingly, there is every chance of us actually going on a bit of a run, and hopefully this little break for some of the players that have been suffering, well, mostly Rashford, that hopefully can get back to some form. But let's finish this off with some score predictions and first goal scorer predictions. Now, Ben says we're going to have a bit of a league going from this. So you get a point for each one you get right, and I think there'll be a league table. And I think he's going to give I think he said he's going to give someone $5,000 whoever wins. It's on video now. Yeah. So you first, Bainsy, then. Your score prediction of first goal scorer. It doesn't have to be United play, but it should be.
I'm going to go. We haven't kept many clean sheets, have we? So I'm going to go. Oh, I hate this because I always get it wrong. So should I just say Leicester to win?
No.
No, I'll go with 3-1 United, obviously. And I will go first goal scorer, Harry Maguire. How about that?
That would be
It's a controversial one.
One for the newspapers, that one, yeah. I mean,
fingers in his ears and all sorts.
Yeah, I mean, our record against him recently has been pretty shocking.
We've lost the last 2 against them, haven't we? I'm sure we have.
3 if you count the FA. 3 if you count the FA Cup quarter-final.
And then we drew. Did we draw to them as well? Or
yeah,
did we lose to them away last year?
Drew 2-2 during the start of last season away, and then lost 3-1 in the cup. Lost 2-1 at home when we had 2 games in 3 days.
That's it. And then 4-2, wasn't it?
4-2 this season. So
So our record hasn't been great against them, to be fair.
So with that, Gav, can we turn that round?
No pressure. Now, I actually think with everything that's gone on in the England camp, with everything that's happened with the likes of Ronaldo, Dalot, and Bruno, with Portugal going through, I think we'll be the mentality monsters. And I actually think we will keep a clean sheet. I also think it's going to be Sancho that scores the first goal. And I'm going to be positive and say it's a 2-0 win.
2-0 clean sheet as well.
That is positive. Clean sheet as well at Old Trafford.
Clean sheet, the lads.
Okay.
Lovely.
I think he's going to have it in his head. I'm going out to prove people wrong. I don't see him as the kind of person who sort of
shies away,
those and sort of drifts away. We have had moments where the team's head dropped, but everybody's coming back from this with fire, really. So I just think I think we'll be good. I do hope so.
I've just got one comment to post up here. Apparently, I won't be hosting again. I think because of the 5K comment from Ben. Maybe you might not watch it back. Who knows? But Reese, you can round it off. I'll give mine as well, just because I want to shot. I was
going to say 2-0.
Yeah.
Just I'm going to say 2-0, but just to keep it kind of different, I'll say 2-1. I mean, considering how many goals we've conceded in the last 4 or 5, it sounds like we're going to concede again. But I'll say 2-1. United win 2-1, and Ronaldo gets a penalty to open it up. So Ronaldo gets the first, I think.
Yeah, I like that. I'm for my shot at 5K. And I think I'm doing most of these preview shows as well, so I've got even better chance. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to agree with Reese. And first goal scorer, I'm going to go Marcus Rashford for the little bit of a redemption story as well. Yeah. I think he's got a decent record against him as well. And
he does.
He's going to come back refreshed. That's what's going to happen.
That's what we're hoping for.
Definitely. So thank you for that, guys. I think we're gonna leave it there. We're going to be back on Saturday at 8:00 with myself, and I'm not sure who else is on the post-match reaction. So hopefully we'll be reacting to a good performance anyway. So again, thanks for having me, guys, and thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Pleasure.